Hello and welcome to the floor of my music studio. Today I'm going to show you how to change your violin or viola strings. If you're new here, my name is Elizabeth and I run the blog lifefromtheviolasection.com, where I share my favorite practice tips, general advice, and tech for musicians. I'm also a private viola, violin, and piano teacher. Let's go change our strings. To change your strings, you're going to need your instrument, a cleaning cloth, your new set of strings, and a pencil. So I always like to change my strings on the floor. That's just where it's most comfortable for me. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my cleaning cloth and clean the strings off. We're going to save these old strings as a backup. It's always good to have a backup in case one breaks. Just change one string at a time. So these strings hold a lot of tension on the violin. It holds the bridge up and it holds the sound post in place inside. So if you take off more than one string, it takes off a lot of tension on the instrument and it can cause your sound post inside the instrument to fall over, and then you need to take it into a luthier for them to put it back into place. So only change one, that's the best way to go, and it'll save you time in the long run. So I always like to start with the lowest string first, which is the one on the left. This is my violin, so this is the G string. If you were using a viola, then it would be the C string. So I go up to the peg that corresponds with the string, and I loosen it. As you loosen it, you want to pull the peg out a little bit because the pegs are tapered. So the outside of the peg is a little skinnier than the part with the head on it. So just pop it out of the little holder at the bottom. Now you've taken off one string. So exciting. I like to take this opportunity to clean the fingerboard. Sometimes I'll clean inside the peg box. And don't lose the peg. Now we get to open up our box of new strings. This one opens on the side. The strings are individually wrapped and they're labeled, so G, D, A, and E. We just removed the G string, so we're just gonna work with this string first. This brand of strings comes in a little plastic envelope like cheese. Alright, so you take the string out of the packaging and it looks like this. There should be two different color windings, which is like the little thread colored stuff at the ends. One has a ball and the other is just an end. This plain end is going to go up in the peg box, and this ball end goes down at the tailpiece. So I'm putting the peg back in the peg box, and there should be two little holes on the peg. I'm going to take this end of the string and poke it through the hole. It should come out on the other side, and then I get it kind of close to the peg box. I start wrapping it right next to itself. I try not to overlap any of it. Just makes it look nicer, and it plays better that way. So now I hold it right here. This is called the nut. Almost forgot, up at this nut, there's a groove for the string. You want to take a pencil and draw in the groove. Do the same thing down at the bridge. Drawing the pencil lead on the bridge helps keep the bridge in place when you retune the string over and over again. So the next step is to take this ball end and stick it in the little holder at the tailpiece. Every tailpiece looks kind of different, especially whether or not you have fine tuners, but it's the same kind of concept either way. So now I have to tighten this the rest of the way. What I do, you won't be able to see it on camera, is I hug the violin against my body, and then I turn the peg until it looks like a string. The next thing we have to do is to tune it to a G. So if you can't pick out what a G sounds like, that's totally okay, that's normal. Just grab your tuner and pluck it until you get to a G. Then when you get to the pitch, push the peg in a little bit so that it stays. Remember, they're tapered, so the further in you go, the fatter it's going to be and the better of a hold you're going to get. There we go, the G string is on! We have a new G string and it feels really, really great. The last thing I'm going to do with this old G string is to wrap it up and then put it in the new envelope to keep it safe in case I need a backup string. So we've zoomed in so that for the next string you can see exactly what I'm doing. So I changed the G string with you, and then I changed the D string on my own, so next we're going to change the A string. So you want to find the peg that coordinates with the string. For the A string on the violin, it should be the top right peg. So we're going to loosen the peg and pull out a little bit as you loosen. You should be able to pull the string out, and then it'll come out of the tailpiece. Then find the string that you need, so violin A, and the plain end of the string is going to go into the peg. This ball end goes into the tailpiece. So make sure the peg is in the peg box and you can see the hole at the top. We're going to feed the plain end of this string into the hole until it hits the other side, and then start to wrap it. I generally like to wrap the string until the color goes around to the first peg, but that's just a guess. So again, this ball end is going to go into the tailpiece. Different types of tailpieces have different ways for the string to come in. So I have fine tuners on my violin, and so these little grooves are covered up, so I can't put the strings in those. But these fine tuners come with these little grabby things that you put the string in. So take this ball end and feed it into this little holder. I have to like push it down with my fingers to get it to stay. So now that I have the string in this little holder, I basically hug the instrument and I wind the peg so that we've got a strung string. Now we have to tune it to an A. So we've changed 3 out of the 4 strings, so the E string is going to be last. This is the highest string, so it has the highest tension, so this is the most likely to break. So if this is one of your first few times changing an E string, be super careful, go slower than you think you need to, especially when you're tightening the string, because the way you break it is by over-tuning it and tightening it further than it can stretch. So find the peg that coordinates with the E string, should be the lower one on the right, and loosen up the peg. So I'm going to take the E string out. Again, it comes in this little cheese pack, and it comes with a little guide and the string itself. So your E string may come with this little plastic worm or piece of macaroni on it. So you're going to want to line this little macaroni up with the bridge so that the very thin E string doesn't dig into your bridge and wear it down. So I've put the E string on, then I put the little macaroni holder over the bridge. Then very carefully I just hold my body against it to keep everything in place. Make sure everything is in the correct groove. Then we can very, very slowly tune it with the peg. So once you find the E, go slow, try not to overshoot it. Then you can push the peg in. Very, very slowly. There we go. And it's tight enough and it stays. So now we have 4 new strings on this violin. So exciting. So after you put on new strings, it's likely that they're going to go out of tune like every 5 minutes. They're just going to slip. If you're a violinist, you might hear that this is flat. So just tune with the pegs really, really carefully, and make sure your fine tuners are always about halfway up if you have fine tuners. That way you have room to tighten and loosen them. And if you're working on your pegs and you notice that the fine tuner is up all the way or loose all the way, take a second to kind of get it to the middle. That'll save you a lot of time in the long run. And here are the new strings. I just tuned them a few seconds ago and they're already out of tune again. Yeah, a lot brighter. It's so exciting. I love new strings. They make your instrument sound so good and fresh. So that is how you change strings on your violin or viola. Thanks for following along with me, and I hope these tips were helpful for you. If you have any questions about changing your strings, please leave them down in the comments or on my Instagram at LifeFromTheViola section, or if you're one of my private students, just send me a message and I'll help you out. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I post new musical videos every Sunday at noon Eastern Time. Thanks for watching!